Salah, from Nagrig to Anfield, the rise of a king. A humble beginning in Nagrig. It all began in a small village called Nagrig, nestled in the heart of Egypt. Life wasn't easy for young Mohammed Salah. His family wasn't poor, but opportunities were scarce. The streets were dusty, the football pitches were uneven patches of dirt, and every dream seemed impossibly far away. But Salah had something more valuable than any advantage. He had hunger. I used to travel 4 hours every day just to train, Salah recalled in an interview years later. 2 buses each way. I'd come home exhausted, but I couldn't stop. Football was everything. Salah's love for the game blossomed early. His father would tell stories of him kicking a ball around the house even before he could walk properly. By the age of 8, he was already better than most kids twice his age. His coaches at the local club El Mokhaloun saw something special, a rare blend of speed, vision, and balance. But Nagrig wasn't the place where stars were born. Salah knew that. He wasn't just dreaming of becoming a professional footballer. He was dreaming of taking Egypt's name to the biggest stages in the world. Basel, the first step into Europe. Salah's breakthrough came when Swiss club FC Basel spotted him during a youth tournament in 2012. At just 20 years old, Salah left behind his family, his village, and everything familiar to chase a future in Europe. I remember landing in Switzerland, Salah said. It was cold. Everything was different, the food, the language, the football. But I didn't care. I had to make it work. And he did. Salah lit up the Swiss league, his pace and finishing turning heads across Europe. He scored crucial goals in the UEFA Champions League, including a stunning strike against Chelsea, a goal that would prove prophetic. Chelsea, the first failure. In January 2014, Chelsea came knocking. It seemed like the perfect move, the Premier League, under the guidance of Jose Mourinho, with the chance to play alongside some of the world's best players. But it didn't work out that way. Salah struggled for game time. Mourinho, notorious for his lack of patience with young players, benched him repeatedly. When Salah did play, he was often out of position or under pressure to perform instantly. I remember sitting on the bench for weeks, Salah said years later. It was the hardest time of my life. I thought maybe I wasn't good enough for this level. Chelsea loaned him out to Fiorentina in 2015, a move that could have been seen as a step down. But Salah took it as an opportunity. In Italy, he rediscovered his love for the game. Redemption in Rome. AS Roma signed Salah permanently in 2016, and it was in the Eternal City that Salah's transformation began. Luciano Spalletti, Roma's head coach at the time, saw what Chelsea didn't. He gave Salah freedom to roam, to attack, to fail and try again. And Salah thrived. He was unstoppable, Spalletti said. Fast, ruthless, and clinical. Salah scored 34 goals in 2 seasons with Roma, becoming one of the most feared forwards in Italy. Bigger clubs started to notice. Liverpool made their move in 2017. An Egyptian king at Anfield. Liverpool wasn't just a new chapter, it was the beginning of a legend. From the moment Salah set foot at Anfield, it felt right. Jurgen Klopp handed him the iconic number 11 jersey and built Liverpool's attack around him. Salah repaid that trust with goals, and lots of them. He scored 32 goals in his debut Premier League season, a record. Liverpool fans started calling him the Egyptian king. But football has a cruel side, too. The fall in Kiev. Liverpool reached the 2018 Champions League final against Real Madrid. Salah was at the peak of his powers, until Sergio Ramos pulled him down, dislocating his shoulder in the first half. Salah left the pitch in tears. I felt like I had let everyone down, Salah admitted later. All those goals, all those wins, it felt like they meant nothing at that moment. Liverpool lost 3-1. Salah's season and his dream was over. Redemption in Madrid. But true champions rise again. 1 year later, Liverpool returned to the Champions League final, this time against Tottenham. This time, Salah wasn't going to let history repeat itself. In the second minute of the match, Liverpool were awarded a penalty. Salah stepped up. The world held its breath. He buried the ball into the back of the net. Liverpool went on to win 2-0. Salah collapsed to the ground as the whistle blew, tears of joy replacing the tears of pain from a year earlier. I knew I would get another chance, Salah said. This time, I wasn't going to miss it. Premier League glory. In 2020, Salah delivered the title that Liverpool fans had been waiting 30 years for, the Premier League trophy. He scored 19 goals that season and led Liverpool to dominance under Klopp's leadership. For Liverpool fans, it wasn't just about winning the league, it was about Salah's journey. From rejection at Chelsea to glory at Liverpool, he had become a symbol of resilience. Faith and family. Throughout his career, Salah's faith in Islam and devotion to his family have been constants. He prays on the pitch after every goal, kneeling in sujud, a powerful expression of his gratitude and humility. "My faith gives me strength," Salah said. "It reminds me that football is not everything. But when I play for something bigger than myself." Salah remains close to his wife, Magi, and their 2 daughters. He lives a quiet life outside of football, avoiding the spotlight. His loyalty to Egypt never wavers. In 2018, after leading Egypt to their first World Cup in 28 years, he donated millions to local hospitals and schools. "I don't just play for Liverpool," Salah said. "I play for Egypt. For my family. For my faith." Legacy of a king. Salah's story is more than just football. It's about faith, resilience, and the refusal to give up even when the world seems determined to push you down. From the dusty streets of Nagrig to the glory of Anfield, Mohamed Salah's rise is a reminder that greatness isn't given, it's earned, one step at a time. "People said I wouldn't make it," Salah said. "But I knew, if you believe, work hard, and stay true to yourself, anything is possible." And so, the boy from Nagrig became a king, a role model beyond football. Mohamed Salah isn't just a football star, he's a cultural icon, a symbol of hope for millions, especially in Egypt and the Arab world. His rise from a small village to the top of European football has inspired countless young players to believe that they too can break barriers and achieve greatness. But Salah's influence goes beyond the pitch. In Egypt, his name is spoken with reverence. He's not just a hero because of his goals, he's admired for his humility, his generosity, and his unwavering connection to his roots. Despite his global fame, Salah never forgot where he came from. In 2018, Salah helped fund the construction of a hospital and a school in Nagrig. He has regularly donated money to help struggling families and supported projects to provide clean water and better infrastructure in rural areas. He even turned down a luxurious villa offered to him by the Egyptian government after leading Egypt to the 2018 World Cup, instead asking for the funds to be used for public services in his village. "He's one of us," said a local resident in Nagrig. "He hasn't changed. He still visits home. He still gives back. He's not just our hero, he's our brother." Salah's humility stands in stark contrast to the often extravagant lifestyle of modern football stars. While others are drawn to luxury cars and designer clothes, Salah prefers to keep a low profile. His celebrations after scoring goals are quiet and meaningful, a kiss to the sky, a prayer on the ground. "It's not about the fame," Salah once said. "It's about showing the next generation that they can dream big, but they should also stay grounded." Faith as a foundation. For Salah, his faith in Islam is not just part of his identity, it's the foundation of his success. He fasts during Ramadan, even when it coincides with major matches. He prays 5 times a day, even in the middle of intense training camps and international tournaments. His iconic goal celebration, the sujud prostration, is more than a ritual. It's an expression of gratitude and devotion. "It's a moment between me and God," Salah said. "When I score, I want to thank him, because I know none of this would be possible without faith." Salah's open display of his faith has made him a positive figure for Muslims worldwide, especially at a time when Islamophobia and cultural tensions have created divisions. Liverpool fans even created a chant in his honor. "If he scores another few, then I'll be Muslim too. If he's good enough for you, he's good enough for me." For many, Salah has become proof that you can be proudly Muslim and succeed on a global stage without compromising your values. Facing racism with grace. Salah's success in Europe hasn't been without its challenges. Early in his career, he faced racism on and off the field. Some opposing fans would taunt him with derogatory chants, targeting his ethnicity and faith. But Salah never responded with anger or resentment. He answered with goals. In 2019, Salah's influence helped reduce Islamophobia in the UK. A study conducted by Stanford University found that anti-Muslim hate crimes in Liverpool dropped by 18.9% after Salah's arrival. His presence on and off the pitch was changing perceptions. "We're not just talking about a footballer," said Jurgen Klopp. "We're talking about a man whose impact reaches far beyond the stadium." The rivalry and brotherhood with Sadio Mane. Liverpool's success under Klopp was built on the partnership between Salah and Sadio Mane. Together, they formed one of the most dangerous attacking duos in world football. But the relationship wasn't always smooth. In 2019, during a Premier League match against Burnley, Salah opted to take a shot rather than pass to Mane, who was in a better position to score. Mane's frustration boiled over as he stormed off the pitch, visibly angry. The media speculated that there was tension between the two stars, but Salah downplayed the incident. "We're brothers," Salah said. "On the pitch, we both want to score. Sometimes emotions run high. But at the end of the day, we fight for the same goal." Mane echoed the sentiment. "Emma wants to win. I want to win. That's why we work so well together." Their competitive edge pushed Liverpool to new heights. They guided the team to a Champions League title in 2019 and a Premier League crown in 2020. For Salah, the rivalry wasn't personal, it was fuel. Captain of a nation. In 2022, Salah faced one of the most heartbreaking moments of his international career. Egypt reached the final of the Africa Cup of Nations, only to lose to Senegal in a penalty shootout. Salah didn't even get to take a penalty, his turn was scheduled last, and by then, the match was already lost. He stood alone on the pitch, tears streaming down his face as Senegal celebrated. "It hurts," Salah said afterward, "because I know how much this means to Egypt. But we'll be back. We have to keep fighting." Weeks later, Egypt faced Senegal again, this time for a place in the 2022 World Cup. The result was the same. Egypt lost on penalties. Salah missed his spot kick. But Egypt didn't blame Salah. They knew he had carried them on his back for years. And Salah didn't give up. "I'm not finished yet," Salah said. "Egypt deserves more. And I'm not done trying." Loyalty to Liverpool. In the summer of 2022, Salah faced one of the toughest decisions of his career. His contract with Liverpool was running out, and offers were pouring in from Europe's elite clubs. Barcelona, Real Madrid, and PSG were ready to make him the highest-paid player in the world. Salah's answer was simple. "I'm staying." He signed a new 3-year deal with Liverpool, cementing his status as a club legend. For Salah, it wasn't about the money, it was about loyalty. "I owe everything to Liverpool," Salah said. "They believed in me when others didn't." His loyalty paid off. Salah became the fastest player in Liverpool's history to reach 100 Premier League goals. He passed Steven Gerrard as the club's top scorer in the Champions League. He broke record after record, and he wasn't finished yet. A future still unwritten. At 32, Salah remains at the peak of his powers. His pace, his lethal left foot, and his footballing intelligence show no signs of fading. But beyond the statistics and the trophies, Salah's true legacy lies in what he represents. He's the boy from Nagrig who never gave up. He's the Muslim who prayed on the biggest stages of world football without fear. He's the footballer who faced rejection and came back stronger. "I don't know how my story will end," Salah said. "But I know this, I've given everything. I've lived my dream. And I've made my people proud." The next chapter is yet to be written. But one thing is certain, Mohamed Salah's story is already one for the ages. A global ambassador for Egypt. Mohamed Salah is not just a footballer, he's Egypt's most influential cultural ambassador. His success on the pitch has elevated Egypt's status in the footballing world, but his influence extends far beyond the game. Salah's impact on Egyptian football has been profound. Since his rise to stardom, there has been a surge in interest in football across the country. Young boys and girls in the streets of Cairo and the villages of Nagrig now wear Liverpool jerseys with Salah's name on the back. Local academies have reported increased enrollment, with many aspiring to become the next Mo Salah. "He's made football a dream for Egyptian kids," said Hani Ramsey, a former Egyptian international. Before Salah, Egypt had footballing heroes, but no one had reached his level. Now kids believe it's possible. Salah remains deeply involved in the development of Egyptian football. In 2021, he funded the renovation of a local football academy in Nagrig, ensuring that young players would have access to better training facilities and equipment. "He wants the next Salah to come from Nagrig," said a local coach. "He's not just giving them hope, he's giving them a path." Salah's commitment to his country extends beyond football. He has funded the construction of hospitals and schools, and during the COVID-19 pandemic, he donated medical supplies and ventilators to local hospitals. "He's not just helping Egyptian football, he's helping Egypt," said his father, Salah Ghali. He knows where he came from, and he wants to make sure others have the opportunities he never had. Quiet strength in the spotlight. Salah's humility has remained one of his most defining traits, even as he reached the pinnacle of global stardom. Despite his massive following, with over 50 million followers on Instagram alone, Salah rarely seeks attention off the pitch. He prefers to let his performances do the talking. "I don't need to post everything I do," Salah once said. "I don't play for likes. I play for the people who believe in me." This quiet strength has earned him the respect of teammates, rivals, and fans alike. Virgil van Dijk, Liverpool's defensive rock, described Salah as the most humble superstar he's ever known. He's the biggest name in African football, maybe even world football, Van Dijk said. But you'd never know it when you sit with him. He's just Mo. He makes you feel like you've known him forever. Jurgen Klopp has often pointed to Salah's attitude as one of the reasons behind Liverpool's resurgence. He sets the tone for the whole squad, Klopp said. He trains like it's his last day, he fights for every ball, and he lifts the others when things get tough. That's not talent, that's character. Salah versus Messi and Ronaldo. At his peak, Salah entered the rarefied air occupied by Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, two players widely regarded as the greatest of all time. For years, Messi and Ronaldo dominated the footballing world, hoarding the Ballon d'Or and setting seemingly unbreakable records. But Salah, with his blistering pace, clinical finishing, and incredible consistency, forced his way into the conversation. In 2018, he finished third in the Ballon d'Or voting behind Luka Modric and Cristiano Ronaldo. In any other era, Salah's 44-goal season and Champions League heroics would have made him the undisputed winner. Messi himself once praised Salah. He's phenomenal. His movement, his left foot, it's special. He makes everything look easy. Ronaldo also acknowledged Salah's rise. He's a killer in front of goal. He's one of the best I've faced. He doesn't miss. Salah's rivalry with Messi and Ronaldo may have been brief, but it was significant. He proved that there was room for another name among the footballing elite. A clash of nations, Egypt versus Senegal. One of the most painful moments of Salah's international career came in 2022 during World Cup qualification. Egypt faced Senegal in a high-stakes playoff. On the other side of the pitch was Sadio Mane, Salah's Liverpool teammate and close friend. After 120 minutes of tense football, the match came down to penalties. Mane scored the decisive penalty, Senegal advanced to the World Cup, and Egypt's dreams were shattered. Salah, who had missed his penalty, stood alone on the pitch, staring into the night sky. Mane walked over, wrapped his arm around Salah's shoulders, and whispered something in his ear. "It's the hardest thing I've experienced in football," Salah admitted later. To lose like that to Sadio, of all people, it hurt. But I told him I was happy for him. Their friendship endured the rivalry. Weeks later, Salah posted a picture of himself and Mane with the caption, "Brothers first, always. The next generation." Salah knows that his career is closer to its end than its beginning, but he's not finished yet. In recent years, Salah has taken on a new role, mentor. Younger players at Liverpool, including Harvey Elliott and Curtis Jones, have spoken about Salah's quiet influence behind the scenes. He leads by example, staying late after training, working on his finishing, and encouraging younger teammates when things don't go their way. Mo doesn't talk much, Jones said, but when he does, you listen. He's been through everything. He knows what it takes. For Egyptian football, Salah's influence is already visible in the new generation of players coming through. Omar Marmush, one of Egypt's brightest young talents, credits Salah for inspiring him. "I grew up watching Salah," Marmush said. "He showed us that it's possible, that we can succeed in Europe. He's our blueprint. A king's legacy." Salah's story is already one of the greatest in modern football. He has won every major club trophy, the Champions League, the Premier League, the FA Cup, the Club World Cup. He has broken records, inspired songs, and changed the perception of Muslim athletes in the West. But his greatest achievement may not be the trophies, it's the legacy he leaves behind. "He made Egypt believe again," said former Egypt coach Hector Cuper. "He gave us back our pride." Salah's story is not just about football, it's about perseverance in the face of rejection, about staying true to your faith and values in a world that often challenges them, about giving back when you've reached the top. "For me, it was never just about winning," Salah said. "It was about the journey, about showing people what's possible." The final chapter. At 32, Salah still has time to write the final chapter of his career. He remains Liverpool's talisman, Egypt's captain, and one of the most dangerous forwards in the world. But even if he retired tomorrow, his place in football history would be secure. One day, the goals will stop. The stadium lights will fade. The jerseys with Salah 11 on the back will grow older and start to wear. But the boy from Nagrig who dared to dream, he will live on. In the streets of Cairo, in the academies of Liverpool, in the hearts of every Egyptian child who looks at Salah and thinks, "If he did it, maybe I can too." Because that's the true legacy of Mo Salah, not the trophies, not the records, but the hope he gave to a generation. And for a boy from Nagrig, that's more valuable than any Ballon d'Or. The business of Mo Salah. While Mohamed Salah's on-field success has defined his career, his influence off the pitch has also grown into a powerful brand. Salah isn't just a footballer. He's a global icon whose name carries weight in the worlds of business, fashion, and social responsibility. Salah's marketability exploded after his breakout season with Liverpool in 2018. His face began appearing on billboards across Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. Global brands lined up to sign him as an ambassador: Adidas, Vodafone, Pepsi, and more. Salah's face wasn't just selling shoes and drinks, he was selling hope. Adidas built entire campaigns around Salah, presenting him as the face of resilience and underdog success. A 2019 advertisement showed Salah running through the streets of Nagrig, being chased by young boys, not to harm him, but to follow in his footsteps. "I'm not running away from them," Salah says in the ad. "I'm leading them." The campaign was an instant hit, resonating not just with football fans, but with a broader audience inspired by Salah's journey. In 2020, Salah's social media influence became impossible to ignore. His Instagram posts routinely garnered millions of likes. A single image of him with his daughter celebrating Ramadan in 2021 drew over 5 million reactions, more engagement than posts from Messi and Ronaldo at the time. "You can't buy that kind of connection," said a marketing executive at Adidas. "People see themselves in Salah. He's relatable, he's one of them." A symbol of modern Egypt. In Egypt, Salah's rise has become a source of national pride and political influence. In 2018, during Egypt's presidential election, Salah's name appeared on thousands of ballots. Frustrated voters wrote "Mo Salah" instead of a political candidate's name. While these votes were invalid, the message was clear: Salah represented something that politicians didn't: hope and integrity. "He's the most trusted figure in Egypt," said Egyptian journalist Hossam Hassan. "People feel like he belongs to them, not because of his success, but because he's never changed." Salah's relationship with the Egyptian government has been complex. In 2019, the Egyptian Football Association (IFA) used Salah's image in an unauthorized advertisement, leading to a public dispute. Salah voiced his frustration on social media, criticizing the IFA's lack of professionalism. "It wasn't about money," Salah later explained. "It was about respect." Despite these tensions, Salah has remained fiercely loyal to Egypt. After leading Egypt to the 2018 World Cup, Salah donated approximately $300,000 to help fund the renovation of a children's cancer hospital in Cairo. He has also contributed to the building of a water treatment plant in Nagrig and has funded the education of hundreds of students in his village. "He's not obligated to do any of this," said his father, "but he feels it's his responsibility." Salah's influence extends to Egyptian football as well. His success has inspired more Egyptian players to seek opportunities in Europe. Mahmoud Hassan, known as Trezeguet, Ramadan Sobhi, and Ahmed Higatzi have all credited Salah with paving the way for Egyptians in the Premier League. Challenges with the Egyptian national team. Despite his personal success, Salah's journey with the Egyptian national team has been filled with heartbreak. After Egypt's early exit from the 2018 World Cup, Salah faced heavy criticism at home. Fans and media questioned his commitment, blaming him for the team's poor performances. The pressure intensified after Egypt's loss to Senegal in the 2022 World Cup qualifiers. Salah didn't hide from the criticism. "I understand why they're upset," he said. "They expected more from me, and I expected more from myself." Salah's relationship with the Egyptian Football Association has also been strained. In 2018, Salah publicly clashed with the IFA over their decision to base the national team's World Cup camp in Chechnya, a politically sensitive location. Salah was uncomfortable with the attention drawn to the team's presence there, but his concerns were ignored. "I'm not asking for special treatment," Salah said at the time. "I'm asking for professionalism." The tension between Salah and the IFA remains unresolved, but Salah has never turned his back on the national team. He continues to wear the captain's armband with pride, even when the team struggles. "I don't play for the association," Salah said. "I play for the people, for the kids who see me and believe they can reach the top." Family first. Salah's greatest source of strength remains his family. Despite his global fame, Salah remains devoted to his wife Magi and their two daughters, Maka and Kayan. Salah met Magi when they were both teenagers in Nagrig. She has been by his side through every step of his career, from the early days in Basel to the triumphs at Liverpool. While other footballers' partners often seek the spotlight, Magi prefers to stay out of public view. "She's my balance," Salah once said. "When things are tough, she's the one who keeps me grounded." Their daughters have become a symbol of Salah's softer side. Maka, Salah's eldest daughter, captured the hearts of Liverpool fans when she ran onto the Anfield pitch after a match in 2019 and dribbled the ball toward the goal. The crowd erupted as Maka scored, and Salah, sitting nearby, smiled with quiet pride. "My daughters don't care if I win or lose," Salah said. "They just want me to come home and play with them." Family is also why Salah remains loyal to Liverpool. He could have left for Barcelona or Real Madrid, clubs with deeper pockets and greater historical prestige, but Liverpool is where he feels at home. "When I'm at Liverpool, I feel like I'm with family," Salah said. "I don't need more than that." The influence of Islam. Salah's identity as a Muslim has shaped every aspect of his life and career. He has never hidden his faith. In fact, he's embraced it openly. He fasts during Ramadan, even when it coincides with crucial matches. He refuses to drink alcohol, despite the intense pressure from sponsors and the footballing culture around him. "I'm not ashamed of my faith," Salah said. "It gives me strength. It reminds me that football is not everything." Salah's prayer celebration after every goal has become one of the most iconic images in modern football. "It's not a performance, it's an act of gratitude. I don't do it for the cameras," Salah said. "It's a moment between me and God." Salah's faith has made him a symbol of positive representation for Muslims worldwide. He has challenged stereotypes simply by succeeding at the highest level while staying true to his identity. "We're proud of him not just because he's Egyptian," said an Egyptian fan at the 2018 World Cup. "We're proud because he's shown that you can be Muslim, be proud of it, and still be accepted by the world." What comes next? At 32, Salah knows that his playing days are winding down. His contract with Liverpool runs until 2025, and while he remains at the peak of his physical powers, he has begun to think about life after football. "I don't know if I'll coach," Salah said, "but I want to stay involved in football, maybe with the next generation." Salah has already started laying the foundation for life beyond the pitch. He has invested in businesses in Egypt and Europe, including a chain of gyms and sports academies. He has hinted at a desire to help run Egypt's national football program one day. "I want to give back," Salah said. "I've been blessed with this career, now it's time to help others." And yet, there's still work to be done. Salah's legacy isn't complete. He dreams of winning another Champions League, of leading Egypt to a deep run in the World Cup. "The story isn't over," Salah said with a smile. "There's more to write." Whatever happens next, Salah's place in football history is already secure. He's not just a player, he's a symbol of resilience, faith, and hope. And for a boy from Nagrig, that's the greatest victory of all. Salah's impact on global football culture. Mohamed Salah's influence isn't confined to the football pitch or even to Egypt. He has changed the global perception of football itself. In a sport historically dominated by European and South American stars, Salah's rise as an African and Muslim icon has shifted the balance of power and expanded the sport's cultural footprint. When Salah won the 2018 PFA Player of the Year award after his record-breaking debut season with Liverpool, it wasn't just a personal victory, it was a moment of validation for African and Arab footballers. For a long time, African players were seen as physically strong but not technically gifted, said former Ivorian international Didier Drogba. Mo Salah shattered that stereotype. He showed the world that African players can be world-class in every aspect of the game. Salah's style of play, combining blistering pace, clinical finishing, and creativity, became a blueprint for modern forwards. His ability to play as a winger, striker, and even a playmaker has influenced a generation of young attackers. Kylian Mbappé once told me that he studies Salah's movement, said Liverpool assistant coach Pep Lijnders. That's the level of impact we're talking about. One of the best young players in the world studying Salah's game. In Africa, Salah's influence has mirrored that of George Weah and Samuel Eto'o, but on an even larger scale. He became the first African player to win the Premier League Golden Boot twice and the first African to score 30-plus goals in a Premier League season. In 2021, Salah became the highest-scoring African player in Premier League history, surpassing Didier Drogba's record of 104 goals. Drogba, ever the competitor, responded with admiration. "I'm happy it's Mo. If anyone was going to break my record, I'm glad it was him." Changing the face of Muslim athletes. Salah's success has had an even greater social and cultural impact for Muslim athletes. Football, and European football in particular, has not always been welcoming to Muslim players. Before Salah's rise, Muslim players were often subjected to racism, discrimination, and negative stereotyping. But Salah's success, combined with his unapologetic embrace of his faith, changed the narrative. When Salah kneels in sujud after scoring, it's not just a celebration, said former Liverpool defender Jamie Carragher. It's a statement. He's showing the world that his faith is part of his strength, not a weakness. Salah's success on the pitch made Muslim identity more visible and accepted in the sport. Suddenly, young Muslim fans in Europe felt more comfortable wearing their hijabs and kufis to matches. Salah made faith part of football culture. In 2019, Liverpool fans famously created a chant in his honor. If he scores another few, then I'll be Muslim too. Sitting in the mosque is where I want to be. Imo Salah, Imo Salah. The chant went viral not just because it was catchy, but because it represented a shift in how football fans viewed Muslim identity. Salah wasn't just accepted, he was celebrated for being Muslim. Salah's success also influenced the behavior of other Muslim athletes. French forward Karim Benzema and German midfielder Mesut Ozil both publicly credited Salah with helping to normalize Muslim identity in elite football. I always prayed after goals, Benzema said. But after Salah's success, it felt different. It felt like people understood why. Handling pressure with grace. Being a global icon comes with immense pressure, and Salah has faced more than his share. In 2018, Salah's involvement with the Egyptian national team became politically charged when the team's World Cup base was set up in Chechnya. Salah was photographed with Chechen leader Ramzan Kadyrov, a figure accused of human rights abuses. The photo sparked international controversy. Salah never spoke publicly about the incident, but those close to him said he was frustrated that his name had been politicized. Emma wants to play football, that's all, said Klopp. He doesn't want to be a political figure. But when you're as big as Imo, you don't always have that choice. Salah's ability to maintain focus despite the political and social pressures surrounding him is part of what makes him so remarkable. He has developed a mental toughness that allows him to stay calm in the most intense situations. I've seen him take penalties in the biggest games, said Van Dijk. His heartbeat never rises. He's ice cold. That mental strength was on full display in the 2019 Champions League final. After the heartbreak of Kiev in 2018, when Salah was forced off with a shoulder injury, the pressure on him to deliver against Tottenham in 2019 was immense. When Liverpool were awarded a penalty in the second minute, Salah stepped up. Millions of fans held their breath. Salah calmly slotted the ball into the net. That's Salah, Klopp said after the match. Pressure doesn't touch him. Mo Salah, the brand. Off the pitch, Salah's brand has become one of the most powerful in world sport. In 2022, Salah ranked 5th on Forbes' list of the highest-paid footballers, with earnings exceeding $35 million annually. His endorsement portfolio includes deals with Adidas, Pepsi, Vodafone, and Oppo. But Salah has been careful about which brands he associates with, turning down deals that conflict with his values or his image. He's selective, said Salah's agent Rami Abbas Issa. He doesn't just sign deals for the money, it has to make sense for who he is. In 2020, Salah signed a lifetime deal with Adidas, a contract similar to the ones held by Messi and David Beckham. Adidas released a special Pharaoh edition of Salah's signature boots, featuring gold accents and hieroglyphics honoring his Egyptian heritage. That's not just a footballer's deal, said sports marketing expert John Egan. That's a cultural statement. Salah's name now stands alongside the biggest in the history of the sport. What drives him? Despite his fame and wealth, Salah remains driven by the same motivations that fueled him as a boy in Nagrig. I'm not finished yet, Salah said in 2023. I still have more to give. Salah has spoken openly about his desire to lead Egypt to a major international title, an Africa Cup of Nations, or a deep run in the World Cup. He has also set his sights on winning another Premier League and Champions League title with Liverpool. I want to leave the game knowing I gave everything, Salah said. Not just for the trophies, but for the people who believed in me. Klopp, who has coached Salah since 2017, believes Salah's hunger will carry him through the final years of his career. Mo will never stop wanting to improve, Klopp said. He's not interested in what he's done. He's always thinking about what comes next. Legacy beyond football. Salah's story is about more than goals and trophies. It's about representation, resilience, and faith. He's the first African superstar to dominate the Premier League. The first Muslim player to become a global icon without compromising his faith. The first Egyptian player to reach the pinnacle of European football. Salah has broken barriers, and in doing so, he has made it easier for those who come after him. Kids in Egypt don't just dream of being footballers anymore, said Egyptian football commentator Ahmed Shaber. They dream of being Salah. That's Salah's true legacy. Not the goals, not the trophies, but the belief he's created in others. 10 years from now, there will be another Salah, Shaber said. Because of what he's done, because of the path he's paved. The final word. Salah's story isn't finished yet, but even if it ended tomorrow, his place in football history would be secure. He's not just a Liverpool legend. He's not just an Egyptian icon. He's not just a Muslim role model. He's proof that talent, faith, and resilience can break down any barrier, and that even a boy from Nagrig can rise to the top of the world. And when the final whistle blows on his career, Salah's legacy will endure, not just in the record books, but in the hearts of the millions he inspired. The final chapter, when the whistle blows. At 32, Mohamed Salah remains at the peak of his game, but football is a cruel business. Time, the one opponent no player can outrun, will eventually catch up with him. For now, Salah continues to defy the odds. His pace remains electric, his left foot as deadly as ever. But he knows that the end of his playing career is no longer a distant thought. It's approaching, slowly but surely. I think about it sometimes, Salah admitted recently. What comes after football? How will I fill that space? There is no doubt that Salah's future will remain connected to the sport. Coaching, punditry, management, the options are there. But Salah has never been motivated by fame or money. His focus has always been on the people, the fans, the next generation, the kids in Nagrig who still play barefoot on dirt fields, dreaming of becoming the next Mo Salah. I want to help Egyptian football, Salah said. I want to create opportunities for the next generation, so that they don't have to leave home to succeed. But Salah's legacy will not be defined by his future choices. It has already been written. The legacy of a king. Salah's career is a story of defying expectations. The boy from Nagrig who wasn't supposed to succeed. The young winger who was written off at Chelsea. The man who overcame heartbreak in Kiev to lead Liverpool to European and domestic glory. He rewrote the script, not just for himself, but for everyone who followed. He showed African players that they could dominate European football. He showed Muslim athletes that they could celebrate their faith without fear. He showed Egyptian kids that their dreams didn't have to end on the streets of Nagrig. Mo Salah didn't just break records, Jurgen Klopp once said. He broke barriers. Salah's influence is felt in every corner of the footballing world. From the Anfield stands to the markets of Cairo, from the Champions League finals to the dusty streets of Nagrig. His name carries weight. Kids in Liverpool dream of wearing the number 11 jersey. Kids in Egypt pray to become the next Salah. He has become more than a footballer. He's a symbol of possibility. For us, Salah isn't just a player, said an Egyptian fan. He's hope. A quiet goodbye. Salah's departure from Liverpool, when it comes, will be emotional. His name will echo through the streets of Merseyside long after he's gone. He will stand alongside Gerrard, Dalglish, and Rush as one of the greatest to ever wear the red shirt. But Salah's goodbye will be quiet. No farewell tour, no dramatic press conference. That's not his style. He'll score one last goal at Anfield. He'll kneel in sujud one final time. And then he'll walk away, with the same humility and grace that defined his career. I've given everything I have, Salah will say. Now it's time for the next generation. And the next generation will take the field, inspired by the boy from Nagrig who became a king. The final image. Picture this. The Anfield crowd rises to its feet. It's the final minute of Salah's last match. Liverpool have already secured the win. Klopp stands on the sideline, watching with quiet pride. The ball falls to Salah near the edge of the box. He cuts inside, one last time. He curls a left-footed shot toward the far post. The net ripples. The crowd erupts. Salah jogs toward the corner flag. He drops to his knees. Sujud, one last prayer. He stands, raises his arms, and looks toward the stands. The banners, the scarves, the flags, all bearing his name. Mo Salah, the Egyptian king. And as he walks off the pitch for the final time, the cameras zoom in on his face, a quiet smile. Because the boy from Nagrig has completed his journey. He climbed the mountain. He reached the summit. And he left the game better than he found it.